Today is Tuesday, the 12th of May 2020. I'm Alison, and thanks for joining me for my 6th Stripping the Willow vlog. As you know, my vlogs are based around the desire to celebrate life in the face of such a huge loss of life around the globe. But today, my vlog is not particularly feel good. I don't feel like dancing. Rather, it's coming from a place of loss and remembering loved ones over these past few weeks. 2 days ago it was Mother's Day, and I know my husband and my daughter had grand plans to spoil me, but that never ended up happening because we woke that morning to find my daughter's horse rolling around in pain in the paddock, and we had to call the vet, and the day consequently was spent sitting by her side, trying to get her up and walking because it would help her, and just deciding what was the best option. It was emotionally draining watching this and having to make these decisions. And sadly, she passed away yesterday morning. This horse has been in our lives for the past 7 years and was particularly significant for my daughter through her teen years. So it has been a hard process saying goodbye. And I know that you fellow horse owners and pet owners out there know what I mean when I say it sort of leaves a hole in your heart when you have to say goodbye to an animal that's been part of your lives. The passing away of Amira around Mother's Day was significant for me this year because this was my first Mother's Day since my mum passed away towards the end of last year. And there was something about having to sit round the clock with Amira that brought up all my memories of sitting with my mum day and night in the last week of her life. So it was a pretty heavy Mother's Day. And at the same time, Mother's Day isn't particularly easy for my husband, who has also lost his mum in years gone by, but again lost his mum to a disease that caused pain and seemingly before her time. So while we love living back here in the farmhouse where my husband grew up, which has such positive, rich memories of his amazing mum, there is times, obviously, where we go back to that painful place of having to have said goodbye to people that we love. On top of this, the last couple of weeks have brought the anniversary of my husband's younger sister's death. She passed away 22 years ago, but her death still has a sting about it and a pain about it that is not always easy to go there and deal with afresh. I don't share this without permission, and I don't share it lightly, but his sister had reached a very, very low place, a very dark place, so much so that for her the only way out was to take her own life. So today I'd like to dedicate this vlog to her. She had become my sister only a few years earlier, and I was loving getting to know her. She was one of the most caring people that I'd met, and she came from one of the most loving, supportive families that I've come across. So there were many questions. It was indeed a tragedy, and a loss is still felt through each changing season of our lives. So as we have walked through this heavy time where grief has raised its head in our lives, it's helped me appreciate afresh the people across the globe who are sitting currently at loved ones' graves and what that must be like for them as they face an uncertain future. And at the same time, it makes us so appreciative, doesn't it? Or should make us so thankful for all we have in this country at this time, that we have been spared the devastation that we've witnessed in other places. Having said that, I know that these conditions these changes may well bring people to a place where they feel that there is no way out. This is a heavy topic, but the reality is, wherever there's life, there comes death. And that is something that we all have to face at some point. But it's tragic to think that that time comes unexpectedly, tragically, before time. And so let's be celebrators of life in the sense that we go after promoting life and injecting it where it's needed. When my sister-in-law passed away, part of my way of dealing with it was I sat and I wrote her a long letter. I wrote all the things I wish that I could have said and possibly done to help. It was too late, and I felt like the opportunity was robbed from me, taken from me. She was due to come and stay with us just a few weeks after this happened. So this is sort of a strange thing to do, but I just feel strongly that I want to speak out and say to someone who might be out there feeling like this is too much, you can't see the way through it or over it or under it or around it. What do I want to say? Well, again, coming from my Christian perspective, I want to say that you are so valuable, that you matter, that you're not just something that happened to come together as a bunch of cells, that you are created and loved by an incredible God who values you and wants to relate to you, to connect to you, and inject a life into you that can't be found in the things of this world. He says to you, it doesn't matter how you've got here. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made. It doesn't matter whether you feel you've failed, whether you feel you have nothing left. He knows you by name. He's an incredibly intelligent, bigger than big God. Blows our mind how he can know each one of us individually. But without a doubt, I know he does. This is my testimony and the testimony of thousands across the globe. But he's not a God to push himself on you or shake his finger at you. He's a God who presents himself in creation and tells his story through the book known as the Bible, the best-selling book throughout the world and has been for many years. Perhaps you don't even have the energy to even consider that. But he just says, cry out to me, seek me. And I know thousands will agree that he answers. This black dog, I'm all talking about, runs through our community, doesn't it? And impacts a lot of us. I know it's been part of my story. Let's stand together to get rid of it, to deal with it, to face it and overcome it. I'm thankful for the ways in which people have helped me to do that, and ultimately that God has helped me to be free from that. And I look forward to the fact that in the life to come, there'll be no black dogs allowed. It says in God's story that he sent Jesus into this world, and the purpose of that was not that he condemn us, but that he came to save us, to show his love to us. And that is his heart towards us. But he does give us free will. For those of you that haven't actually read God's story, it covers our beginnings, covers his desire for creation and why he created us, and his way to help us through Jesus. And, it also talks about a time to come. It makes clear that this present age will come to an end. And at the moment, he opens his arms to us, opens that doorway, that opportunity for us to come and connect with him and get to know him. But there will come a time where that door will be closed and we will not have that opportunity. You know, I've heard it said that this God of the Bible is so egotistical, and why should he demand that people worship him and relate to him? What sort of egocentric God would do that? But you know, the way I think about it is, he is like our Father. We came from him. We're made in his image. And just like here on earth, if there was a couple who had a family and they, you know, had love in their home, they offered their kids the best that they could. They had a loving, caring, supportive home. And one of the children decides that they no longer want to be part of that family, and they chose to go away and not have anything to do with the family for the rest of their life. Now, if the family had been a hard place to be and they had been abused, you could understand that more. But what does your heart really say to that? Does that seem right, that that child has nothing to do with their family, that doesn't honour their parents for all they've done for them, who doesn't stay in contact with them throughout life? To me, it just doesn't sit right. And I suppose I feel it's the same with God, that who are we to just be ungrateful children who say, I want nothing to do with you, when creation points to the fact that we've come from a God who, yes, he is holy and has certain standards because he is so good, but he's loving and has reached out to us and has that invitation for us. Lastly, I just want to finish by saying the other thing that I've been really reminded of through this heavy time is that life is fragile. You know, human life at the best of time is short compared to the eternity that I fully believe is there for all of us, that our spirits live on. So we don't want to have regrets, do we? I have a friend who's always said that to me. Let's not have regrets, and particularly when it comes to what our eternity is going to be about. It can be a scary thing, but sometimes we need to face our fears and find the peace that we're looking for. Thanks for joining me today.